Hey guys, previously we saw that the new students were introduced to the school and learned how things work over there. Today we'll continue this incredible story, but before that, the usual ritual, go ahead and hit that like, and if you're not subscribed yet, show me some support, that really helps me out, okay? Without further ado, let's get to the recap. Today's video starts with one of the teachers welcoming them to the sword arts class. Before beginning the class, he provides an overview of what these sword arts are. The teacher asks if anyone can explain what it's about, and right away Pete, being the nerd he is, volunteers to explain. While he is introducing himself, some students start teasing him, saying that the nerd won't do anything in life except study. They also say that he wants to be the teacher's pet on the first day. Oliver notices the bullies making fun of his friend, but decides not to do anything for now. Then Pete starts his explanation. He says that sword arts are techniques performed with swords, as the name suggests. The use of swords by magicians began around 400 years ago when a magician was defeated by a non-magician in a one-on-one duel. Since then, magicians have carried swords to deal with close-range attacks or when they don't have time to cast a spell. They can also fight with the sword and use non-enchanted magic to distract or blind their enemy, making magicians' battles much more dynamic, and this style became the standard up to today. The teacher agrees that his explanation is correct and informs them that on the first day, he chooses 2 students who already know how to use swords to duel each other. Then he asks who volunteers for this. Without hesitation, Nanatsu steps forward. And then, one of the bullies who were teasing Pete also offers to participate in the duel, clearly intending to gain advantage over Nanatsu and gain fame for it. Oliver notices this and quickly raises his hand, saying he will fight Nanatsu, as they have a connection from fighting together against that troll we saw in the previous video. The guy gets angry and tells Oliver not to interfere, but Oliver stands firm and says he's the one who shouldn't interfere. The sly guy tries to mock Oliver and says he was stupid for fighting the troll, claiming that in this situation, it's best to wait for the instructors to handle it. Oliver agrees, saying that's a rational decision. He asks if that's what the guy would do when his friend is about to be destroyed. With this question, Oliver puts the smart aleck in his place, and he gets angry. Just as he was about to ramble on, Chella interrupts and says that if he's so eager to fight, he should fight her. Chella adds that everyone would be much more impressed if he defeated her instead of Nanatsu, and she immediately asks if he's afraid to fight her. To avoid looking weak, the guy accepts the challenge, and so it's settled. Oliver will fight Nanatsu, and Chella will fight the foolish guy. The teacher approves, and soon the first duel between Oliver and Nanatsu begins. Before they start, the teacher casts a spell to make the attacks non-lethal, so they won't get hurt. The one who lands a fatal blow to the chest or head will win. And he reminds everyone that student duels can only be fought in this way. Anyone caught dueling without the non-lethal spell will face severe punishment if they don't eliminate themselves in the process. The duel begins, and Oliver thinks about taking it easy since Nanatsu isn't good with magic and doesn't know sword arts. However, Oliver is in for a surprise. Nanatsu is really skilled with the sword. She gained a lot of experience fighting on real battlefields. Oliver is under a lot of pressure from Nanatsu, she's really impressive. He realizes he can't take it easy and starts using magic in the fight. It's clear that both of them are extremely strong, and at one point, when their swords cross, there's even a shockwave in the ring. They continue having an amazing battle. Oliver realizes this is no ordinary duel. He also notices that Nanatsu's sword has been bathed in the blood of many people, and there have been quite a few. In the middle of the fight, they back away, and Nanatsu begins to get emotional for some reason. For a brief moment, there's a tension between them. Nanatsu thanks him deeply for having such a magnificent battle. Then they focus on their final attacks. With his thoughts filled with sword craziness, Oliver says he's going to fight with everything he's got against her, until one of them bites the dust. These two have some crazy ideas, man. Unfortunately for them, or maybe fortunately, the teacher interrupts the fight before they can attack each other. The teacher, angry, asks if they don't remember him telling them not to eliminate each other. He says that even if unintentionally, they've broken the non-lethality spell. Oliver, confused, asks himself what on earth they were trying to do. After that, the teacher tells them to put away their swords and take a rest. Then, Chella tells the teacher that just that fight was enough, and she wants to give up her fight against Andrews, and he agrees with it. At this point, Oliver heads off seriously. While he's leaving, Nanatsu runs after him all excited and says that it was an amazing fight, and she's never had such an exciting duel before. In her exuberance, She says that it's really a shame they couldn't finish each other off. But Oliver just continues walking and doesn't pay much attention to her. Until she calls him to fight again, with real blades and no non-lethal spells. He becomes really upset upon hearing this. He refuses and says he won't ever fight her again, since he doesn't want either of them to be killed, and he doesn't want to be eliminated either. And guess what she does when he says he doesn't want either of them to die? Yes, exactly, the girl starts crying. After I call her crazy, you all complain. Later they go to a fountain and talk about their last class, which was spell studies, where the teacher was an old lady who doesn't like wizards using swords in battles. After talking a bit, they move on to the next class, magical biology. Katie is really excited, as she loves magical creatures and animals in general. She says she's been looking forward to this class all day. The teacher starts talking in a frightening tone, saying that in her class, magical creatures are viewed merely as resources, and one or two usually end up as food and drink, and they will learn how to best exploit these creatures. She then summons the creatures that will be used in today's class, giant silkworms, those caterpillars you see there. Basically, in today's class, they have to channel magic into the creatures to make them produce silk. But it's not that simple. If they put too much or uncontrolled magic, the cocoon will turn black and a mini demon will come out. If that happens, they have to burn the creature on their own. The teacher also mentions that they can't receive help from any other student, and if they disregard this rule, they'll lose points. The students start, and some are more skilled than others. In her thoughts, the teacher notes that this year's class has improved significantly, as no one has been bitten so far. Oliver and Chella are doing well, and they help their friends with the spell. Chella says she'll take care of Nanao, as she notices that there's an odd atmosphere between them. Oliver agrees and helps Pete to succeed. Then he looks at Katie and sees she's putting in a lot of effort. At this point, the teacher says she doesn't need that much dedication, just to provide magic to the creatures. But Katie seems to have a different goal, as she's being very cautious. When Katie is on the 9th creature, Chella comes to talk to Oliver. He tells her that Katie is almost done. Chella asks why she wants all of them, since she only needs 5 to pass the test. Oliver says that it's much more than just passing for her. She's taking every possible care to keep all the creatures alive and ensure they don't suffer in the process. However, unfortunately, on the last one, she slips up, and the cocoon turns dark. Oliver tells her to burn it immediately, but Katie says that if she tears the cocoon, everything will be fine. Well, that's not quite what happened. After she opens the cocoon, the big creature comes out nervous and quickly bites her hand. Oliver and Chella quickly respond and cut the creature into pieces. The teacher soon arrives and says they'll lose points for helping her. Later, Katie apologizes to Oliver for making him accompany her to the infirmary. Oliver says it's all right, and then starts talking about his life to her. She says her family had many animals, and that's why she's loved animals and magical creatures since she was young. That's why when she sees an animal or creature suffering or injured, she can't stand it. And that's why she tried so hard to keep all the creatures alive in the previous class. Then Oliver comforts her, but says that the path she's chosen is really tough. But it's noble of her, almost like she's an angel. When he says this, her heart beats faster, and we see that our protagonist has a way with winning over the ladies. Then he tries to disguise it and opens the door. He shows her that she's not alone, there are many friends she can count on. Later, they go to the refectory to eat. While they're talking, they notice Nanao is feeling down, and we already know why, right? At one point, Pete remembers he left his book in the classroom and says he'll go get it. But before he leaves, Oliver and Chella get up and say they'll go with him, as the school can be dangerous at night. Pete's a bit bothered, but eventually accepts their help. Their friends comment that Kimberly School of Magic is located on top of a giant maze and might become dangerous at night when the maze spreads through the hallways. Now, we see the three of them heading toward the classroom, and they easily find the book. But as they try to open a door on their way back, they find themselves trapped, and the scene quickly changes. Now, they're inside the maze, and it looks really menacing. Pete is scared, but Oliver tells him not to worry, as it's normal for freshmen to get lost in the maze during the night, and a veteran or instructor should find them while patrolling. They move on and soon encounter a strange woman. Pete rushes towards her, but Oliver tells him to stop. The woman uses a strange mist that enchants the boys. Pete quickly becomes enthralled and tries to approach her, but Oliver soon wakes him up, and Pete regains his awareness. Oliver says there's no time to waste, and they continue moving forward. Unfortunately for them, soon their path is blocked by another student who says he's also interested in the new freshman. The guy seems like a vampire and says he wants to meet his new student soon. But unfortunately for them, they can't go back either, as the strange woman follows them, and they find themselves trapped. And what will happen next? Well, we'll find out in the next episode. Did you enjoy the video? Then comment down below if you want part 3 of this anime. Also, give that like and subscribe to the channel, that really helps me out, seriously. And finally, just for those who stayed until the end, I've put an amazing video on the final screen. It tells the story of Haruto, a boy who was discarded and reincarnated into a world of fantasy and magic. He was incredibly lucky to be born into the royal family, but his parents thought he was a weakling and abandoned him in the forest. Check it out, it's amazing, okay? Until next time, bye.